My report is on pitfalls of the employee handbook. The employee handbook is actually normally a really good thing for both employees and employers. It can clearly lay out expectations for the employee, what their job duties will be, their expectations, benefits, that sort of thing. However, if an employer doesn't draft the employee handbook with care, this can actually lead to some problems down the line. So basically, most states, their employees are at-will associates, and they can be terminated the employer or the employee can terminate their employment at any time for any reason. Besides reasons of discrimination, of course. But however, if the employee handbook is not drafted carefully, and there are a lot of wording in regards to the reasons for termination and that sort of thing, then there is also an expectation for a good cause to terminate employment. And actually, there is also expectation for any benefits that are laid out in the employee handbook as well. There's actually a case in Massachusetts. It's in November 2007. An employee retired in 2002. He was expecting to receive sick leave pay by the Massachusetts Turnpike Authority. According to the Turnpike Authority's 1979 handbook, employees were allotted a certain amount of sick days each year, and if they didn't actually take those sick days, they would receive 50% of their pay for each day that they didn't take. This is actually an incentive to make sure that the associates would show up to work. However, in 1996, the company drafted a new handbook taking away this 50% pay for the sick days. When the gentleman retired in 2002, he was expecting all of the sick pay that he didn't take off up until 1996. The court actually ruled in his favor, and he received all the money that he requested. Basically, this is a clear message to all employees and employers that handbooks must be written with care, and that any promises that are inside the handbook must be obliged. It's basically an issue of fairness and honesty, so that the employee was awarded all that is expected in dues of like sick leave or any other benefits that are within. Basically, if there's a promise made, then the promise is expected to be kept. There's actually another case in Massachusetts. It's Ferry versus Roswell Construction. The company had clearly laid out in the employee handbook the reasons and procedures for terminating employment. It was very much a list of step-by-step procedure for terminating employment. And basically, it began with a three-step process. The first offense was a written or verbal warning. The second offense was a mandated suspension, and then the third offense meant termination. However, the employee that was terminated was not given these steps. They were terminated immediately, and the court recognized that since the company did not follow the step-by-step procedure, it was a wrongful termination of employment, since this gentleman was not afforded the same rights and responsibilities as any other associate or employee that worked for this company. Basically, all these laws are written to be like fair and balanced for basically for all involved. One of the things that this is a big message to all employers and employees is that if you lay out expectations or rules or procedures in the handbook, they are expected to be met, and they have to be consistently met. Since this company actually did not follow the procedure, the employee or the terminated employee received basically all the money that they would have received if they fulfilled the contract with the construction company. Basically both these cases both speak that it's very important for an employer to draft a carefully written employee handbook, and actually they should seek legal advice or professional advice when drafting said document. Granted, the employee handbook is not intended as a legal document, but in court it can be used as such. If there are promises made within, then the promises are expected to be kept. Now, and also, like, this serves to protect the employees as well. They are allotted certain benefits, or even a lot of times there'll be a step-by-step procedure, like in the case I just gave, of, like, you know, steps for termination. This is actually a common practice of my previous employer. Granted, it would state specifically in the employee handbook that all associates were at-will employees. They did have a step-by-step warning system for and a specific amount of time for follow-up for an employee to improve, you know, could it be meeting certain productivity standards or whatever the case might be that they were written up for. Even if the company wanted to get rid of the associate right away, they would always follow the step-by-step procedure to a fault. Is this a good thing? Not always. In the case for where I used to work, it was actually got in the way more often than it helped. It basically associates that weren't very productive, weren't good team players, they stayed around much longer than they should have, and actually affected the entire productivity of the department in question. So, all in all, these employee handbooks can actually work against the company, and they really have to be careful of how they word them in the future.